Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting Propagandacast with me, Imperial Dane, and today we're having for you a 1 versus 1, yes indeed, an exciting 1 versus 1 on the Beaux Lowlands, or in the Beaux Lowlands, I suppose would be the more proper way of saying it, I think. So nonetheless, here we are, Beaux Lowlands, somewhere in France, somewhere in the lowlands, and who shall be fighting? Well, we'll be right to that. Of course, we do have the sort of rather interesting geography of the Beaux Lowlands. Of course, it is a lowland scenario. It is with a river. It is with a road bisecting the map in each their own way. And the victory points are rather spread far. Meaning, of course, you can't just park down your truck in a sort of central position and hope to dominate the map. In fact, no, you can't. Of course, it can't give you a small advantage, but you actually have to think out a larger defensive strategy to hold more than 1 point, in fact. So of course makes this map a lot more interesting, and of course it also makes it a lot more interesting for all sides, not just the one who's probably going to be defending for the larger parts. And of course, even for the attacker, he needs to think out a sort of defensive strategy to at least contain the enemy until his larger force can arrive. So that, of course, is an interesting bit. Of course, resources are also spread out. Lots of strategic points, of course, meaning a lot of harassment if done properly. Though then again, that's not usually what you see. You just see the points being gone after. But let us go have a look at our opponent, shall we? In the northern corner, we are seeing Makelovedontwar. That's not quite the proper sentence, in particular since he's playing a war game. That's wrong in a lot of manners. They're not as wrong as, for example, an American or British commander having something to do with the SS. Now that might just be my sort of opinion. Nonetheless, here he is, and he is from the 11th Armoured Division, ready to show the Hun what for, and what sort of Hun shall be facing him. It shall be Schmetterling905th, possibly off the 905th Bodenständige Grenadier Division, though I don't believe they actually fought there, so we'll just say 906th. But then again, that could be a Grenadier Regiment, so yes, I suppose that's fair enough, 905th Regiment. And of course he'll be taking on the British of the 11th Armoured Division right here in the lowlands. Of course, so we're of course going to be seeing some slightly more defensive armies. Of course, we're seeing the British, we're seeing the Wehrmacht, two sort of slow, methodical armies. Of course, they both have the offensive, but then again, they also have to sort of think out defensive strategies. They have to sort of plan out strong points and where to operate from. And of course, they also have big tanks that are like blowing up other tanks, like the Firefly, like the Panther, and like the Tiger. That of course also creates some interesting dynamics during the fight, and we'll of course have to see how this sort of plays out for the British command. Of course, the key is where does he place down that big fat headquarters command truck, and of course where does the Wehrmacht go. In fact, let's get right to it. Let's not talk anymore, or at least we can talk, but at least let's actually get the game going. Ta-da! Recon section moving towards the west, and looks like we are seeing a lieutenant and a packing up off the truck right away. So we'll probably be seeing something towards the west. Schmetterling being nice and polite there. Hi, good luck, have fun. Of course, probably secretly muttering to himself, "And then I shall crush you, filthy Britisher." Though that is, of course, purely conjecture. Then again, there's probably a reason why he's playing the Axis. Although, of course, these snappy uniforms are a good reason. Thanks, friend, you too. So, jolly good show from him as well, and thank you. Nice and polite for now. Of course, things will get less polite no matter what once firearms are introduced. Lieutenant looking like he will be making a dash towards the east. Sten gun in hand. Green beret on top of his head. And these reconnaissance troops are sneaking about here in the south, securing this point. Of course, that does beg the question, where will the truck be going? Actually, you usually don't see this point sort of being the point of attention. Usually it might be that, but this is actually a bit frightfully exposed. At the same time, we are seeing pioneers here. We are seeing a Wehrmacht quarters up, Volksgrenadiers hitting the field. First Grenadier, Volksgrenadiers from the Grenadier Regiment. And looks like he'll be setting it up right there. That's pretty rare, to be honest. I mean, it will of course prevent any sort of cut-off of this point, but then again, if the Wehrmacht commander actually spots this, of course he can pin it down. Now the pioneers will be rushing in and will be trying to seize this point, and of course they're going to get frightfully disappointed. In the meanwhile, the recon section are moving about here. Volksgrenadiers hot on their heels. My goodness, this could easily end up bad, but no. The Volksgrenadiers stop up right here at the munitions point, apparently figuring out, and there we go. Schmetterling sort of figuring out that, hey, there's a truck. Hello, truck. And of course a slight opening salvo of greeting towards the occupant of the truck by those pioneers before they continue running past. Volkswagen is securing this munitions point, while the reconnaissance section not far away is securing the fuel point. Of course, they do have the sort of high ground here. The Volksgunners will be having to attack, so they might end up in a slightly unfortunate situation. Pioneers not entirely sure what they're doing here, and apparently he's engaging them. It looks like we are seeing an infantry section getting up. Could be he might be wanting to put on some pressure here. But wire being laid down here to protect himself from an assault from this spot. Jolly good move, in particular since the British won't be having anything to actually cut the wire right away. MG42 being set up to cover, but we are seeing British troops moving in from the north. No lieutenant to actually support them since he's mucking about up here and far away from his troops, having a spot of tea and a cigarette, which is not really in his job vocation, really. That's really to keep his troops moving, and that's not really what he's doing now. In fact, these chaps might get caught out in the open, as we are just noticing there. Schmetterling, of course, noticing these chaps are awfully slow moving, but apparently doesn't just turn it around, he moves it back. Waits for the Volksgunners to move in. MG42 setting up, of course, recon section moving towards the east, perhaps might for a flank. While these chaps continue warily and are now getting suppressed by the MG42. Rather swift stop to that move and that nonsense. In the meanwhile, we are seeing some Volksgunners further hitting the field, getting engaged by the recon section. One Volksgunner is already down. Not a good start for those chaps. A British chap is down, but the Volksgunners are standing out in the open. That's bad, but apparently they somehow managed to force the recon section to retreat despite standing out in the open. That's what you call absolutely bloody fortunate. And we are seeing a second lieutenant. We are seeing 3 infantry section and 2 lieutenants. That's an awfully heavy start into the early tiers of British commanding. That's, well, I have seen slightly more, but still it's quite interesting. And no Bren carriers and no field support trucks. Certainly bold, certainly opting for a lot of British firepower, a lot of Lee Enfield rifles, a lot of Sten guns, and a lot of British boots on French soil. We're seeing more barbed wire being laid down here. Really interesting moves. Good, in fact. Denying his opponent cover. That's something I'd like you to note. Barbed wire can be used to deny your opponent cover. Clever thing. And of course also here, and laying down sandbags to protect his MG42, which is normally an exposed position. And we're seeing pioneers trying to lay down barbed wire here, but a reconnaissance section ruins it all. Damn you, reconnaissance section, and your daring roguish moves. So that's of course going to force things a bit off scans here, but the Wehrmacht is quickly reacting. Volksgunners is moving in, and we are also seeing a rather heavy investment from the Wehrmacht as well. 3 Volksgunner teams as MG42 team and some pioneers. It looks like we are seeing the MG42 turning about, and there we go, stopping the reconnaissance section, which is getting absolutely gunned down. And apparently we are seeing some rifle grenadiers moving in here. Rifle grenades are pretty damn powerful, but of course you have to be a bit careful. And they can do quite a bit of damage if you're not careful. I've certainly lost in very short time a lot of troops to those. So again, be careful. Small engagement here, Volksgunners and infantry section duking it out. Not going to look good for this Volksgunner team against these slightly more veteran British troops. Or at least slightly better trained and equipped. Although they might not have the panache and courage of the mighty Volksgrenadier. I'm of course not saying that because I'm the Propagandacast. Not at all. And meanwhile we are seeing Volksgunners continuing the barbed wire job. And currently it looks like Schmetterling has secured a large part of the map. We are seeing a field support truck finally hitting the field. At the same time the Krieg barracks is coming up. Goodness gracious, this could be a rush for armor for the British, of course. Of course, then again, they are going to have the advantage. Then again, this is a pretty large map, and of course, if he gets a pack, he's going to probably need more. Otherwise, of course, he's going to be with a few sore spots where a Stuart tank could ride through with the dashing panache of some light cavalry, and of course, make a mess of Schmetterling's defensive lines. 905th Regiment continuing onwards. Rifle Grenadiers and a lieutenant could be facing off here, but apparently they just seem to be sort of, oh come on, move over the bridge, George. No, I don't want to, Duffy. And there we go. Rifle grenades flying through the air, blowing bits off the bridge, but not really doing major structural damage. Lieutenant spotting something here. He might want to get something up from this casualty station. And this lieutenant really needs to get out of there before he gets gunned down by those Volksgunners. These chaps are still not making a move, and we are seeing some troops with Bren guns being equipped moving about here in the east as well, rather slowly. And there we go. Rifle Grenadiers finally working up the courage to cross the Bow Bridge. Dun dun. Yes, there's not really going to be any sort of exciting movies about that bridge. We have the bridge over the River Kwai, we have the bridge at Wehrmacht, but sadly there's no bridge at Beaux Lowlands. Well, I suppose one could try and make a movie about it, but nonetheless, Bren gunners firing away dashingly with the Bren guns. Rather lovely design. Also, originally designed by the Czechoslovakians and then copied by the British, which is in fact part of the name. With the first part standing off the Czechoslovakian factory where it was made, somewhere in Briano, I'm not really good at Czechoslovakian, and then the other part standing for Enfield, which of course was a major British arms manufacturer. And there we go, Schmetterling moving apart on Pack 38, probably expecting a breakthrough here, so of course it might make some more sense to Stuart to appear here. And we are seeing Volksgrenadiers moving in with the mighty MP40 machine pistol 40, and we are seeing an attempt at setting up some machine gun emplacement. Volksgrenadiers charging in, coming under fire from rifle grenades. Rifle grenades not hitting, and of course the British were not with some sort of monopoly on rifle grenades, but apparently relic only saw fit to equip those. Of course, otherwise there might have been some problems, I suppose. But the Germans and Americans all used them, and there we go. Volksgrenadiers with MP40s moving in from all sides, charging ahead. Of course, that's the closer they get. The rifle grenades can do more damage. Oh dear! And the British somehow sneak past the barbed wire, those dastardly buggers. But they are forced back, and the lieutenant just barely survives, and apparently it looks like all of these British troops are having a nap and a break, not moving ahead at all. We are seeing a captain on the move, well that's probably, yes, Stuart light tank. And they are to ride for King George. And the British infantry apparently just to stand about and drink tea for King George, I suppose. We are seeing some further Volksgrenadiers here in the east, and what are we seeing? Grenadiers hitting the field, Volksgrenadiers rushing about, and we're probably going to see some more veterancy for them, I suppose. Veterancy 1, of course, giving them some sort of small healing upgrade, so they can actually heal themselves and be slightly more tough. And we are seeing the Stuart charging forwards, opening up on these chaps, and of course it could crash through the barbed wire. Will he do that? That would be a brilliant maneuver, of course, opening up through here for his British troops to move, and no, he's not doing that. That's a bit unfortunate, and he's crashing right into the line of fire of the dreaded Panzerabwehrkanone 83 or 38, also known as the 50mm anti-tank gun. Solid anti-tank gun. Of course, it wasn't really the primary anti-tank gun by this stage of war. That was the Pack 40, but giving the Germans the Pack 40 would be a bit over the top. And the Pack 38 was certainly still used by this stage of the war, though of course not in as great numbers. We are seeing some sappers doing up with the Volksgrenadiers. We are seeing the Stuart moving in to fire on these Volksgrenadiers as well. 2 down, and they're down to 2-1, having already gone down. No squad leader to help them. Piets being equipped. Certainly getting ready for some anti-tank power. And there we see, finally, the British troops are getting a bloody move on, moving up, though in a rather large force. Grenadiers charging in and charging out. Lots of charging about, and now apparently once more. No, there we go. Large British force maneuvering once more. Every bit of arms that can be mustered. Brens, rifle grenades, sniper Lee Enfields. And there we go, Volksgrenadiers taking up position with their MP40s, forcing the reconnaissance section to get the bloody hell out of there. Opening up, and jolly good show and keeping them tied up. But of course the rifle grenades can't ignore cover. That's of course a very important thing about rifle grenades, besides the fact they can also lay down smoke screens, which you rarely see. But still, a rifle grenade against a unit in cover can actually be a pretty damn dangerous thing, because it ignores it, and of course it also is quite effective against units in buildings, so again keep that in mind. Rifle grenades are actually pretty good against ensconced units. So really keep that in mind, it can save your ass later on. And we're seeing more Piets being equipped, we're seeing a rather heavy look at British infantry here. In fact, seeing a lot more British commanders playing, which is of course a good thing, showing that the balance patch actually worked. Hooray! We're also, of course, seeing a lot more focus on infantry and other bits, which is rather interesting. Despite the fact that Panzerschrecks has been nerfed against Stuarts, and of course the Pack has been nerfed, you're still seeing a lot more focus on infantry. Although then again, that's not to say you don't see armor a lot, but you also see infantry a lot more, which is rather interesting. All in all, we are seeing rifle grenadiers charging through here, and we are seeing a grenadier attack moving in. MG42 setting up in support of these brave, bold grenadiers, probably off the Fusilier Battalion, since they're probably slightly more veteran. One of these bonus Stinger divisions will probably be more along the lines of Volksgrenadier divisions in terms of quality. But still, there would probably have been some that more closer to grenadier quality. There we go. Oh dear, standing out in the open, or at least with our backs to the water, well, not to the sea. And there we go, suppressing the rifle grenadiers. No lieutenants to stop them, but Stuart moving in from the north. Pietz and Brent gunners moving in from the north as well. Lots of firepower, denying of course, the Volksgrenadiers the advantage of being able to focus all of their firepower on one spot. So jolly good show there. Grenadiers getting gunned down. Stuart might want to move in and deal with this MG42 fast, in particular now that the Panzergrenadier Grenadiers have been forced away, thus denying the German forces their punts up their forces, or punts up their Truppen, I suppose. There we go. Volksgrenadiers being forced back by a British force, which instantly retreats as well. This is a bit confusing. Casualty clearing station finally picking up some wounded, and I do believe it's time to go to Schmetterling. Schmetterling of the 905th. At the same time, we are seeing a bold move here by Volksgrenadiers, moving in behind the lines here. Jolly good show. Always be aggressive, always try to sort of attack from other points, harass and do nasty bits. At the same time, we are of course seeing Blitzkrieg. Krieg der Blitz against the British, which of course is not a bad move against, sort of really leveraging offensive firepower and speed against the British, of course slightly slow, so that's of course pretty good move. Going defensive might have been a bad move. Terror could work, probably can work, but of course Blitzkrieg is a pretty good bet. In particular, since of course it gives you Stu-42s, assault grenades, Sturmtruppen, ever lovely, and of course it also gives you the ever venerable Tiger 1E, Tiger Panzer, and a hiccup. I really have something with those hiccups. Anyhow, we are seeing a large Panzer up there. Kampfgruppe moving in, pack and at behind, Grenadiers leading the charge, but two knocked out rather swiftly. That was rather unfortunate. One apparently being flung off the bridge and into the ravine and into the deep cold water. Not a nice way to go, I guess. We're also seeing a Sturm Armory coming up. We might be seeing some Stuks, I suppose, being sent in from the 353rd, or could it possibly be some SS division sending in some troops to support? There we go. Sturm Armory could be the first SS, in fact. Leibstandarte Adolf Hitler, formed from the bodyguard cadre and made into an actual division, was of course one of the first SS divisions. The other was of course the later one, Das Reich and Totenkopf. And looks like we are seeing a large British move here, an attempt at laying down mines right at the front. That's what you call a bit unfortunate right there. Volksgrenadiers will have to pull back. At the same time, we are seeing a rather bold move by Volksgrenadiers advancing behind enemy lines, really aggressive with the harassment, really sneaky, really a bit of a bastard, really Blitzkrieg, I suppose. Just striking from all points, infiltrating even with troops that can't really cloak, but still getting behind his lines. Although we are seeing armor actually being moved in for the 11th Armored Division. Seeing the Cromwell, oh my goodness, that's really going to be a pain in the ass for the Germans. If not handled properly, we are seeing reconnaissance moving forward. We are seeing lots of mines again. Strong, good defensive position here. Barbed wire, sandbags, MG42 mines. Jolly good show there. Of course, interesting why the British haven't actually tried to move through here once more. Perhaps a tank, perhaps some sappers cutting a bit of wire could really do a difference here. At the same time, we are seeing some Volksgrenadiers being stopped by now British wire. Really, wire for everyone. Jolly good move, actually. It's rare you really see this great movement of wire, usage of wire on all sides, and of course, it rather changes the battlefield. Although at the same time, I can't feel that both sides have been having some trouble in actually destroying it and actually breaking through, of course, using the sort of mental safety it gives against the one that uses it. Nonetheless, we are seeing a Stu-42, Stuk-4 moving in, Veterans 1, Cromwell and Piet rounds flying at it. Stuk-4 surviving most of the damage, while the Cromwell is also able to shrug off some of the damage, but there we go, Panzergrenadier right through the front. Stuk-4 now also taking some damage, forced to retreat. And Volksgrenadiers also forced to pull back. At the same time, we are in fact seeing pioneers being sent in to support these Volksgrenadiers in breaching through in the east. Good move there. Stuart moving in. Cromwell being repaired. It looks like we are seeing a major pulling back of forces right here. And we are seeing a medic bunker up. So good thing again. Casualty clearing station for the British. Medic bunker for the Germans. Hooray. And we are also seeing support all the other command tracks and such being right here on these fuel and munitions points, so that's also good. So really getting a lot of munitions for this British commander, and we are seeing the pack being caught out in the open by a Stuart and a Staghound. My goodness, This could also mean that now that the MG42 might be cleared out, but no. Oh dear, he stops up the Staghound right in front of a Stug. That's somewhere along in the big book of armored tactics and armored combat tactics is under don't bloody well do that, Duffy. And yes, we are talking to you, Duffy. I'm pretty sure this chap's name could be Duffy, but no, perhaps not. Let's not be rude to all the Duffys of the world. And there we go, Cromwell flanking about the Stug. The Stug now being shown its limitations in being an assault gun. Of course, it can't handle a war maneuver. Grenadiers trying to move in, but it is too late. Artillery now flying in as well, bombarding the Wehrmacht positions. My goodness. Could be Commando artillery. Could be Royal Canadian artillery. My goodness, but really laying down the hammer of Britain right there on the Wehrmacht forces. Pack is lost. Stug 4 is lost. Forces are lost, in fact. And this medic bunker is soon gone. Things are certainly looking rather askance for Schmetterling and his 905th Grenadier Regiment. Of course, this Staghound really could do with some repairs, and the Cromwell as well. Staghound charging towards the center and hitting a mine. Really good job with laying down mines, but still no attempts at breaking through the barbed wire here. Why not? And why not there as well? He really needs to get better at breaking through the barbed wire, and he needs to pull back here from the front. You don't want to be repairing your units at the front. Only takes one sneaky German with something, and then you've lost a tank. Another Cromwell hits the field, trying to lay down some mines there. Good show there. And the Stuart hits another mine. My goodness. He really needs to get out some sappers with some mine clearing equipment, or use his reconnaissance sections in a better, slightly more mine spotting manner. And now his Cromwell hits a mine. My goodness. Every British piece of armor, or most likely a lot of them, has hit mines. That's really unfortunate. Now Grenadiers are charging in. Get that Cromwell out of there. Get that Cromwell out of there. In particular, since now the Stug 4 assault gun is moving in. Come on, pull out that Cromwell. At least turn its frontal armor. And Stug 4 moving in. Come on, turn the Cromwell. Turn the Cromwell. There we go. Nathan, good show. And try not to get cocky. And finally seeing some British movement towards taking territory. At the same time, we are seeing this Vickers machine gun emplacement getting outflanked. Things are not really looking good for the British commander now. He really managed a good blow, but now he seems to be wasting it all away. Get that Cromwell out of there. Pull it out of there. Pull it back for repairs. He's much too passive. Oh dear, the Cromwell will be lost. No. And there we go. Cromwell tank is lost. That was an absolute terrible loss. And a Staghound now absolutely wasting all that he has gained. Sappers moving in. No, that's an infantry section. Cromwell moving in, forcing away the German troops here, but still not really able to push through the advantage. That's really absolutely unfortunate. Lieutenant forced to retreat, running about while being a part of a shooting gallery for the German troops. Will he make it out of there alive? Apparently so. Lots of British troops waiting back home. And the Stuart is lost to the Stug, managing another kill for the Fatherland. Very low on points, in fact. So I do believe it's time for the mid-game analysis. The British commander certainly has been having some good ideas, but at the same time he lacks the ability to keep up the initiative. I mean, when he had beaten back that huge German force, inflicted heavy casualties, he just rushed in his armor unsupported, rammed it into a lot of mines. No infantry supported, no infantry clear up mines or repair them. And what armor that could move back for repair swiftly was not moved forward, and was lost, or backwards, was not moved backwards, and was in fact lost at the front line, which was absolutely a waste. Infantry, again, did not really do much, and still he's not been clearing up barbed wire anywhere, and really opened up his opportunities to really be mobile. That's not good. Not good at all, and we are seeing further mines from Schmetterling. Again, note the mine usage. Jolly good show for Schmetterling. Really doing the best out of this situation, and really getting the most out of his munitions. It's a good show. Does he actually have any sort of observation posts? Because he's certainly got a lot of munitions despite all those mines. No, apparently not. Still impressive. Let's go have a look at Makelovedontwar. And clearly he's gone for the Royal Canadian Artillery, since that's not the commando badge. Of course, rather does beg the question how much artillery will be shown. And of course, will he get his act together? Will he still be marking about with little initiative? Otherwise he's going to keep suffering heavy losses, and he's going to be knocked out of this fight quickly. But let us return to the fight, to sure.
A sector is being overrun.
Sectors being overrun. We are hearing reported a rifle grenadier section forced retreat grenadiers opening up. Lots of false grenadiers with MP40s, pioneers with flamethrowers, scavenging this Cromwell for anything that can be attacked back to Corps Command and exchange for munitions. Could be intelligence, could be whiskey. So there we go, charging ahead. Opening up on these false grenadiers with the MP40s, rifle grenades flying through, doing a bit of damage. Of course, also forcing the false grenadiers to scatter. Or no, that's Piet's actually doing that. I suppose that explains why they want so much damage. Stuk 4 moving in, but of course it's sort of exposed, and of course Piet can fly over cover, so it might find his rear awfully exposed. And there we go, getting buttoned up, but the Piet troops are not close enough. He needs to move them forwards. Oh dear. Vorwärts, mein Freund, vorwärts. Nicht still. Anything else? We are seeing a Firefly now hitting the field. Jolly good show. Finding some movement there. Cromwell still moving with its damaged engine. And MG42 moving in to support. Troops getting pinned down. But we are seeing a lieutenant ordering a heroic charge. Lads, that means you too, Duffy. And now artillery being called down on this. Stuk 4 number 2 moving in. And oh dear. Apparently everyone makes it out there, but the Stuk 4 might take a bit more Piet shots. Firefly moving in. Stuk 4 in a lot of trouble. The first SS Stuk Abteilung rather in a sort of slightly unfortunate situation right there, facing against something with a bigger gun with more damage and more penetration. Of course, Piets continue to fly at this Stuk. Cromwell moving in. Oh dear, exposed rear armor. Oh dear, and there we go. Of course, the 17-pounder not having much problem penetrating the frontal armor, and the Stuk is lost to Piet shots. Of course, again, note. Let's just briefly pause for this. Piet is probably the only anti-tank weapon that fires in a parabolic arc. It was again sort of a mortar spring-loaded thing contraption, which of course means it can fire over bocage. And of course that means it can also get some rather nasty shots on rear armor without actually having to stand maneuver about too much. Of course, keep that in mind. Apparently Schmetterling did not, and he lost a Stuk. Most tragic. And now this second Stuk might be lost to the Cromwell Firefly combination. The Firefly striking at the assault gun. Oh dear. At the same time, we are seeing some grenadiers nearby trying to hold back this British force, but they cannot support this Stuk 4, otherwise they'll unleash the British forces on their behinds. Now sappers are flying their Piet rounds at them, and apparently hoping for a sneaky shot at the rear of the Stuk 4. Grenadiers with Panzerx moving in. Oh dear, Cromwell might want to pull out. Pull out, Cromwell, you don't want to move too forward. You're no match for the Stuk 4. Veterancy 2 now for the assault gun giving and machine gunner, which is certainly quite effective. And oh dear, the Cromwell exposing the Panzerschreck. He moved forwards too far. But he cleared out the MG42, but still pull back, Mr. Cromwell. Commander, pull back. Grenadier down, but still pull back. Damn you. You're not going to be surviving much longer. Or perhaps, but no. I'd still not risk it, and still he needs to be pulled back for repairs. MG42, the left behind, could be seized by the British, although they should seize some more victory points. At the meanwhile, we are seeing Schmetterling once more using the advantage that, of course, his opponent is clumping up in one side of the map to just strike everywhere else. Jolly good show there. British forces assaulting the base with absolute audacity and recklessness. My goodness, oh dear. Stuk 4 could be lost, and we are seeing a priest being called in, ready to sing the hymns of the Royal Canadian Artillery Corps. Goodness gracious, or battery or company, whatever. And looks like the British are in fact finally moving for something here in the west, which has not been heavily mined, of course, because there's barely been any sort of action there, because, well, someone apparently couldn't be asked to actually move over towards the west. Stuk 4 number 2 being repaired, another one actually having hitting the field freshly, forcing the Firefly back. German troops continuing in the west, goodness gracious, and absolutely nothing to really oppose them except the reconnaissance section moving in to stop these pioneers from setting up their mines. And looks like we are, yes, finally seeing the victory points going into the favor of the British after so much time. Still no attempts at securing this MG42, although that might be a bit difficult now that there's a Stuk 4 watching over it most diligently. And apparently pioneers have managed to sneak over a Panzerschreck. Recon section forced to flee in the face of many MP40s. And there we go, 2 victory points finally for the British. Still, I can't help but feel there's a lack of mobility, lack of initiative, a lack of daringness, except just charging up straight at the enemy. We are seeing a pre-self-propelled gun ready. Could be used, for example, a fire here, but apparently Cromwell might clear that up. Good usage of Cromwell's, though Not so good usage of actually keeping them alive. So question is, will he be firing this priest anytime soon? Will he let its 105mm howitzer rain down upon the lines of the Hun? Now Volksgrenadiers is securing this MG42, and the Stuk 4 charges ahead, perhaps straight into line of this Firefly. There we go. Getting also the upgraded commander, and sappers are a bit too close. They can easily be gunned down now, but the Firefly apparently promises protection. There we go. Sappers getting suppressed and killed still. He needs to stop doing that. At the same time, we are seeing the Cromwell moving in from the west. Another Stuk 4 moving in. Artillery, will it be firing? Come on, use that priest, you bleep. Anyhow, so we are seeing this Stuk 4 coming under fire. There we go. Apparently, is it firing? Apparently, he's using officer artillery and not, for example, using the actual on-map artillery. Now he's using it. For what, though? Could it be right here? There we go. Killing some Volksgrenadiers. Could it kill more? Yes, indeed. If it hits. Pioneers lost with the Panzerschreck. And Volksgrenadiers forced to retreat. MG42 lost as well. This is absolutely devastating. Finally, some good luck there. And this Stuk 4 could be lost as well. My goodness. And he's finally pushing forwards in the east as well. Reconnaissance section moving forward, and in the west still holding on with the Rifle Grenadiers, although Volksgrenadiers with MP40s are moving in. And the Stuk 4 is lost. The Germans having lost their entire assault gun support for now. And this Sturm Armory is looking awfully dinged up, and so is this bunker. German counterattack imminent. Cromwell again turning about. At the same time, Volksgrenadiers and Grenadiers are charging in. Flamethrower Pioneers scorching all of these British troops again. Oh dear, turn it around the Cromwell and move it backwards. Get those British chaps upwards. Keep the lieutenants nearby. And looks like these Rifle Grenadiers are looking awfully unhappy being faced off against these Volksgrenadiers with MP40s. You might want to retreat them. Come on, quickly. But looks like the Cromwell is able to force things a bit back there. But still, he has the rear armor facing. Oh dear, but Grenadiers are retreating still. You do not want to be facing the rear armor. At the same time, we are seeing sappers moving about. The Pios were more accurate. Or more accurate. There we go. That was an absolutely... not sure why I said that situation. And, well, the Panzerschreck is rather inaccurate. Yes, indeed, at times. And then again, sometimes it can be absolutely ridiculously accurate. So don't ask. Don't tell. At the same time, we are seeing the Staghound armor car moving out. Another one, in fact, getting a 50 caliber upgrade. Still, I'd rather see some more focus on holding back all those Volksgrenadiers and, of course, securing those victory points. My goodness gracious. And looks like these reconnaissance troops are forced back by once more Volksgrenadiers with MP40s. MP40s for everyone except the Grenadiers. A bit of a shame there, but there we go. German forces moving towards the center, and, of course, still no immediate way of reacting to this. In fact, it's looking a bit slim. Every victory point now might end up in German hands. And what is this? Artillery flying away. Of course, one thing to note, this barn will in fact be able to provide some cover, although still, apparently that forces one kill, and those Volksgrenadiers are getting out there. At the same time, Staghound opening up on these Volksgrenadiers out in a slightly unfortunate position. 50 caliber gun doing its absolutely worst, and it's really doing it. So this Volksgrenadiers forcing them into a swift retreat. Bren gunners moving in, want to quickly secure their victory point. At the same time, German troops are securing the center one. Oh dear, and Priest moving forwards. Not sure why, but Cromwell moving in, could get the good drop there. And these chaps also need to move forwards, perhaps be a bit more aggressive, be a bit more bold. Again, standing about is rarely the solution to anything. Pioneers moving forwards, salvaging munitions, and Grenadiers getting torn apart by the Cromwell. The Cromwell is actually a pretty good unit against any enemy infantry, and of course it utterly ignores elite armor. Keep that in mind. Tank fire ignores elite armor, so of course a good thing to know. In particular, if your opponent is spamming a lot of Grenadiers with veterancy, get some Cromwells, blow them to bits. At the same time, we are seeing this victory point once more being under the solemn control of the Union Jack. At the same time, he's moving his Cromwell forwards. Oh dear, and now we see it. Tiger moving in, Hauptmann Voss leading the charge of the 101st SS Schwere Panzerabteilung. And this Cromwell is coming under an awful lot of fire. Volksgrenadiers moving in, could fire off the Panzerfaust to the rear of it. Oh dear, there we go. And the Tiger will deliver the finishing blow, the coup de grace. And there we go, the Cromwell is lost in an absolutely senseless fight against this noble war machine of the Third Reich. And now they're certainly going to be charging forwards there in great numbers. Volksgrenadiers, Grenadiers, and a Tiger. Artillery being called in desperately in an attempt to cool things off, and apparently does manage to force back the infantry. Still, the Tiger is there, and though there's a Firefly, if the Tiger presses on, that Firefly might be in a spot of trouble, actually. And now the priest is just preaching to the, well, non-existent choir. Not really anything to hit. In meanwhile, German forces have steadily secured the east. Pioneers laying down lots of mines again. Jolly good job with the mines. An absolutely terrible job in actually detecting them on behalf of the British. And still an even worse job in actually cutting away this bloody barbed wire. Finally, he managed to crush it there, but still, why isn't he doing it a bit earlier? Why isn't he doing it here? And why isn't he looking out for mines, getting some sappers with mine sweepers? Oh dear, and these reconnaissance troops are getting absolutely torn apart. And I do believe it's time to switch over to Schmetterling, who certainly suffered heavily as well, but still he might have the ace up his hand with the Tiger. And some other good bits, but of course the Firefly and the artillery could of course prove to be his undoing. And now the British commander is himself laying down mines, my goodness, and the German commander of course doesn't have any minesweepers. Oh dear. And meanwhile, we are seeing the Tiger moving towards the west, but apparently the Firefly senses something, of course, notices it, and moves in to attack from the rear. Bren Gunn is holding up this line here, and the Firefly moves in, ready to hunt the Tiger, ready to claim his prize like a big game hunter. And there we go, the Tiger though is forced to turn around. Firefly opening up, it will have to pull back, and why aren't there any sappers with anti-tank weapons ready to support? Oh dear, the Firefly is caught in a trap. It did not. In its own trap, I suppose, and veterancy 3 armed for the Tiger. That's only going to make it more dangerous. Get the Firefly out there. You don't want to move in a Firefly close to any sort of German armor. It's not built for that. And of course now the Firefly might be lost to the dreaded Tiger. Panzershek's also moving in. Get that, oh, Firefly out of there. Oh dear. That's going to be a piece of British armor lost. And really, I think what Mr. Makelovedontwar needs to work on, besides his grammar, is his armor tactics. They're absolutely terrible. You'd think he'd been learning from the French. And looks like a Volksgrenadier squad is in fact lost to the dreaded British artillery. So that's at least a small victory, but at the same time he has a Tiger roaming free, and he's lost his Firefly. That's generally a bad thing, and looks like there's... wait, there we go. Probably going to be seeing a replacement Firefly. At the same time, we are seeing a stag hound here, but still no British troops to actually secure this point. We are seeing everyone here ensconced there. Not much luck. Grenadiers getting gunned down, but the stag hound might be lost. Oh dear, oh dear. Doing its worst, but knocked out by the dreaded Tiger. Good show there. Further Volksgrenadiers in the field. No troops from the 1st SS, though, besides the Stugs. No Sturmtruppen, no SS Panzergrenadieren. But a hiccup. My goodness. And we are seeing Blitzkrieg assault being made ready. And of course the Blitzkrieg assault is always endorsed by the Propagandacast. So jolly good show there. Tiger and Grenadiers securing the west. Schmetterling once more being brave. Despite heavy losses, he continues onwards despite adversity. And what is this? We are seeing a 17-pounder being secured here, preparing for the Tiger assault and laying down some really heavy anti-tank weaponry. Of course, the 17-pounder gun. For those wondering, well, why can't I move it around mobily? Well, it wasn't really that size that actually allowed it. It was too heavy. It was too big. It actually needed a Bren carrier sort of unit to actually tow it around. The Pack 40, on the other hand, was just below that limit and could in fact be pushed around by infantry, although it still was preferably better if some sort of tractor unit could pull it about. So of course that is a fun fact. Of course the Pack 40 didn't quite have the penetrative powers of the 17-pounder. Of course that did mean the Germans didn't have larger anti-tank guns. In fact they did. They in fact had an anti-tank gun that was actually using the same caliber of the Pack, or the Flak 88, and in fact they have an even larger anti-tank gun which used the same caliber of the Jagdtiger, that is 12 centimeters, which is absolutely mind-blowing. Artillery flying through the air, and apparently a grenadier lost to it. British infantry moving through under the cover of an artillery barrage, but then again sort of realizing they don't actually want to be caught by their own artillery, which of course is something to keep in mind of. And we are seeing Vickers machine gun emplacement here, rather hoping to hold this position, but why isn't he clearing up that barbed wire? It's absolutely incomprehensible. I mean, he could make it so much easier for him if he simply cleared out that barbed wire, but he's just not doing it. Firefly arriving on the field, ready to support the 11th Armoured, and artillery absolutely devastating that MG42 team, not even the MG42 surviving. And apparently now more Stuks arriving now with armoured skirts. Jolly good show. Will protect against Piats and any anti-tank rifles, of course. By this stage of the war, anti-tank rifles were about as useful as cavalry with swords. Charge! Anyhow, Staghound and some British chaps holding the east. Might be seeing some more defences being laid down here. He's finally getting around to the idea, perhaps also getting some emplacement, because again, that's really what the British need to sort of hold down some bits, but of course they need to augment it with infantry and clear out that bloody barbed wire. And there we go, German assault on the base. And oh dear, the Firefly. Oh, come on. He just charges it in right into the Hornet's nest, except the Hornet in this case has Panzerjacks and a Tiger. And a Stu 4, that's practically begging for that Firefly to be knocked out in seconds. British troops might want to continue towards this victory point and just ignore this total disaster in the center. Artillery being called in, hitting the Grenadiers. Priest needs to get out of there. Blitzkrieg now being called in, increasing the rate of fire. Absolutely brilliant. Priest might not make it out of there. And there we go, rear armor hit. And just watch those panzers let loose. With an increased rate of fire, just hammering away, and those Panzerjacks are probably also firing a bit faster. Lieutenant killed. Pioneers sprinting in, of course, because that's also what Blitzkrieg Assault does. It in fact allows your troops to sprint. Keep that in mind. It really is the sort of thing when you need to really get things done fast. Priest lost. It's an absolutely horrific effort now for the British. Everything is getting blown to bits. Fireflies, Priest's headquarters, command trucks. And apparently only the east is held together now. More 17-pounder guns being laid down, but there's nothing to hold the center now. Oh dear, and Pioneers are moving in right here where there is no coverage. Oh dear. So now all these emplacements will be cleared out in a second, and there are no British troops to actually support them. The centers shall be lost as the brave troops of the 905th push beyond what is actually expected of them and pull off a brilliant assault of the Blitzkrieg kind. Schmetterling, being the inspirational commander, really pushes them onwards. Then again, he could just be the sort of officer where he basically just points out that his troops ought to be more afraid of him than the enemy, as those were actually there, although they were sort of the SS usually. But I suppose Schmetterling might be the exception. Anyhow, Volksgrenadier is being held back by the Staghound, but the Staghound is too close, and why is not the frontal armor turned about? Come on, get out of there slowly but surely. And why isn't he moving in those troops as well to support? Oh dear. But Grenadiers and Volksgrenadiers being forced back, but still, oh dear. The center is falling to the Germans. Headquarters command trucks stopping up right in front of the Tiger. And the Tiger coming under fire from the Firefly. Sabres could also do a bit of work there, but still not looking good. And now, oh dear, that might have been a misclick there. Stug also joining in. And the Firefly is taking absolutely heavy damage. Sabres could fire a few shots at the rear of the Tiger, but there we go. Apparently, Makelovedontwar pulls out what remains of the 11th Armoured as the 905th Grenadier Regiment does its best with some support from the 1st SS and the 101st Schwerer Panzerabteilung, so good show there. And of course, what can we learn from this, except I'm getting a lot of good matches with British against Wehrmacht. Rather interesting, which is again due to the sort of increase in, well, British players actually playing, which is rather interestingly. Although that doesn't probably mean there's a lower amount of American commanders, just there's more British. So of course that's jolly good. But of course that's not what we're here to do. But of course one of the interesting things was of course the amount of barbed wire that was used. I mean, this was really exceptional. We saw barbed wire being used to deny access to territory. We saw to deny cover. We saw just there to be a nuisance. Brilliant usage, and of course one of the major failings from the British commander was of course clearing it out. He could have done so easily at many times, but he failed to do so, and that really hampered his own mobility. At the same time, Schmetterling just saw, oh, but why? Better call in the pioneers and clear up that mess. And he did so, rather swiftly. At the same time, we saw some good usage of artillery, though, really getting maximum effect out of it several times. We saw some interesting use of armor, but then again, he had good uses of Cromwell's, but then again, he had absolutely terrible tactics in keeping it alive. That was a major problem. His armor tactics were horrible. They were deplorable. He sent it in without support. He sent it in from the front against German tanks, and really your first thought ought to be when facing German tanks is, I don't want to be facing that from the front, and I certainly don't want to be charging in my Fireflies from the front. I want to keep them at a distance. Really, I do. And he did not do that, which resulted him in some heavy losses. He was also a bit too slow in getting some emplacements up. Had he gotten up some earlier, that could also have been of help. For example, a 17-pounder here could really have been dangerous. And again, he sort of drifted off in terms of initiative, which again was absolutely not to his advantage. Again, be bold, be aggressive. I mean, Schmetterling, on the other hand, kept harassing, attacking from all sides. Oh, right there, I'll just steal that piece of territory while my enemy is occupied right next to me. Or I'll just sneak about through here with a large force and take that while he's beating the crap out of me elsewhere. I mean, he really managed to do his best despite heavy losses. He really kept pushing onwards despite losses, despite everything, and that was really incredibly commendable. Schmetterling being a true commander of the Wehrmacht. So really keep that in mind. Good. And of course, the mines. Lots and lots of mines, and of course a total failure from the British commander in detecting them. So of course, when you see the first mines, get a minesweeper. Otherwise, note how Schmetterling laid our mines. Where he laid them? He laid them out on routes and roads, and everywhere where there might be a sort of choke point. So good show there. So I hope you enjoyed this fight. If you did, why not subscribe or tell your friends? And if you didn't, well, why not send a replay? And of course, just keep sending in replays. I love it. I'll just watch through them all. I can't guarantee I'll watch them all, cast them all. Of course, I can't. That's of course impossible. Of course, the more I have, the more chance I find something interesting or fun, and of course that increases the chance of yours being casted. So there you go. Cheers.